bodybuilding fans, and welcome to another episode of Big Bad Bodybuilding. I'm your co-host, Zach Barnard, and with me, as always, my co-host, all the way from Germany, Dennis, the Big Bad Wolf. Dennis, how are you doing? Tell us about your trip. How did FIBO go? First of all, how did the Dennis Wolf Classic go? Was that a success? Were you happy with it? And then tell us a little about FIBO.
Hey, Zach. Hope you're doing well. Yes, thank you for asking. Dennis Wolf Classic number 4 went amazing. We were sold out for the fourth time. Great feedback. Really, just positive. So you always have a couple of things, but this year is really everything went smoothly, and I'm very happy. I have that team on my side. So everything just worked out perfectly.
Did you work with any of the athletes in the show? Did you have any competitors there?
I had two athletes. Yes, I had two athletes at the show. One finished second. The other one didn't make it top 5. But so we had a great quality. If you look at the athletes, great quality for regional show. The overall winner repeated it again. So he won it second time in a row and going for the pro qualifier in the next few weeks. So
nice.
Yeah, I think another German Russian is going to be professional bodybuilder.
Oh, all right, following your footsteps, huh? Well, good. I'm glad that was a success. How did FIBO go for you? Was it what you expected? Anything different out there this year?
I had a lot of fun. First, we had a great time with Jumedi. They always throw a party on the first day. So end of the first day, like 6 p.m., they throw a booth party. So that was amazing. Some German rappers were performing, stuff like that. Pretty cool. So they do a lot for the community and the sport as well. So, and then, man, FIBO is always insane. So Saturday was really packed. You couldn't even move somewhere. So luckily I had to move just once, just switch the booth from Jumedi to FIBO meet and greet booth. But that it takes you a while. Still, you think, all right, you're not active anymore. You don't look like on the pictures anymore. Less people recognize you. Okay, but still, a lot of people, knew who I was. That's pretty cool.
I figured in Germany they might.
Yeah.
I did see you ran into Marcus, right? I think I saw a picture with you and Marcus hugging it out.
Yeah.
And
Marcus
cool.
is a great guy, and he was obviously very happy to see me. Same with me. I haven't seen him for a long time. So we had a great talk.
Did you mention the podcast we did where we talked some shit about him?
No, there's no time. It was so quick.
No time.
Look, I mean, he's working his ass off at his booth, so I got like 5 minutes to catch up with him. It's like
that'd be cool. Maybe we get him on one day.
It's craziness. So it's if we spent some time at the Arnold Classic Expo, right? So it's like 20 times that big.
Really? Wow. That's
even more.
That's
so it's the biggest expo in the world.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Now, did you get to see Wesley? I think you ran into Wesley out there.
Yes, he came to the
because he was working the Gym 80, right? Yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah.
I meant to get that shirt to you.
Much about Arnold and what you said, but he agreed. So he understands it's Arnold. He was kind of surprised that he will say it. Lou Ferrigno. Yeah. But then he said like, okay, I mean, it's Arnold, so you gotta take it. Arnold. It's just one Arnold, so there's no way Arnold is gonna give somebody credit. He looks like him, so that's what I always thought,
They knew the drill. All right, great. Well, before we get to our guest today, I do want to invite our viewers to go check out GoByNutritionWolf.com, where you can save 20%. Use our podcast, our discount code BBB to get your 20% off there, off Dennis's new supplement line. We also want to give a shout out to 3 stores that just picked up the line and brought it in. We've got Pat Sturgeon over at Nutrition Central in Montgomery, Texas. Thank you, Pat. And old friend of mine, Mark at American Nutrition Wholesalers in Hermitage, Tennessee. And also we want to say hello to James Stratman. He's the owner of Peak Nutrition. He has 3 locations in the Phoenix area, actually in Tempe, Gilbert, and Scottsdale, Arizona. you can find Nutrition Wolf products in all 3 of those stores. So thank you guys for supporting the brand, supporting Big Bad Bodybuilding. Now, let's get into some topics with our guest today. Dennis, we have one-upped ourselves this week and are lucky enough to have with us 2 individuals that have incredible insight on our topics today. So please take the honor of introducing them both.
Thank you very much. I have a great honor to introduce our guest today, Jean-Pierre Fuchs, former professional bodybuilder, looked huge. Bodybuilding fans know who he was and who he is. So welcome, Jean-Pierre, and Ron Partlow. He works for Mutant. He came to my gym in Las Vegas, and we had a great talk about the equipment and also worked out together. So welcome, gentlemen. Very much looking forward to have you at our show.
Thanks very much, guys. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome.
Well, when you talk about the FIBO, that brings memories up. I mean, I used to go to the FIBO when I was 14, 15 years old.
Wow.
It's 11-hour car ride. And, when you back then, they had the big, Better Bodies boots, the Wieder boot. And you you knew when you make it there, you get on that stage, you made it,
Better Bodies was there. So MJ was running around back then? Better Bodies, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We do a lot with Better Bodies and Gasp. That's awesome.
It was one of the biggest sponsors. It was absolutely, I remember I used to drive 11 hours, sleep in the car just to see the best of the best because there were not a lot of opportunities to see them. Yeah, it was great times at the FIBO. It was in Köln. I don't know where it's now.
Yeah, it's in Cologne now, but they were for 15 years or so in Essen. Right?
Yeah.
I liked it better in Essen because the halls were much, much bigger, so it was more space, you felt better. But, this is bigger, but it's kind of like...
When did you get to the FIBO the first time?
Excuse me?
When did you go to the FIBO the first time as a guest, as a fan?
I think 96 or 97.
Is it still as big now?
Yeah. So it was partially the time when there was separated FIBO Power, there was just bodybuilding and then the rest, right? So, but then COVID came and all of that, and now the restart for the 3rd year, I think it's incredible. So you see the difference a little bit to back in the days, more young people are involved. So everywhere you go, young people. Back then, I don't remember that there were a lot of young people, mostly grown-ups, 30 plus, right? But now you see 18, 20 years old everywhere.
Ron, I know you were there this year as well. I know you've been several years. What is the vibe like compared to the Arnold Classic, which I got the experience. I went 10 years ago, but obviously as a vendor for the first time a few months ago. How does that kind of compare to FIBO? And what was your experience like this year?
Well, this was actually my 10th FIBO. I thought it was my 11th, but it's my 10th. Mutant's been sending me for a long time. That's a big trade show for them because, we have got a lot of important distributors in Europe. And of course, FIBO is a real hub to the Middle East and Africa and Asia and all that stuff. So those distributors are there. And so that's a really important trip for us. And it's always just blown my mind how much people think the Arnold's big, right? But that's just the little bodybuilding bubble we live in. And you go to FIBO and you see there's an entire hall the size of the Arnold that's just equipment. And then there's another hall the same size, it's equipment. And then there's another hall that's group fitness. And it's you're group, there's a hall for group fitness, and you go in there and it's just the latest, all the trends and the gimmicks and the novelty. And I remember one year they had the world's biggest spin class happening. And it was 600 people on spin bikes. And you're just what the hell's going on in this hall? And then there was a hall, I don't know, I didn't look at all the halls for a few years now, but there was a hall that was all mainstream, like Nike and Adidas and all that stuff. And I was just oh, wow, this is here. Because our people in our bubble, we just think of the supplement world. But, you walk into the equipment hall and you see, the Gym 80 booth or the Life Fitness Hammer booth. And it's you're at a car show. It's they drop $300,000 on their booth. And you're just this makes the supplement hall look like cardboard cutout stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's what
Yeah.
it's just the impact of how huge it is. You know, and it's been a few years since I tried to see it all, you know, because you can only do that so many times and you're like, okay, back to the booth, you know. But yeah, it's just it's huge. And like Dennis said, you know, fitness used to be something that like adults were into. You know, but now it's like there's just kids everywhere, like 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds everywhere, and they got all the branding and they're totally devoted to fitness in the gym, and you know, whether it be bodybuilding or, you know, whatever they're into. You know, you go in like the CrossFit hall and you're just like, holy smokes. Like, so it's I mean, it's awesome to see because it's good for all of us that it's just, you know, it's massive and it's culturally, you know, and I think the pandemic too actually had like a positive influence because, you know, all the stuff they said about being fit mattering, and there's been a bit of a shift, and it's good to see younger people en masse. You know, I remember when I was a kid, I was like one of the only kids in high school in the 90s that worked out. You know, but now it's everyone's training. So,
man, you know what I would like to see? Listen to you talk about that. Remember a few years ago when The Rock was going to put on that big show down in Atlanta. You know, I'm sure he was going to bring Under Armour in and all those. And I would like to see that. Obviously, the Arnold does a great job over a broad spectrum of, you know, different fitness genres and stuff. But I would have liked to see, and I don't know if they're still planning on doing it, but I know The Rock was going to do something really big in Atlanta and bring in Under Armour, and I think that would bring bodybuilding, maybe make it a little bit more like FIBO. I mean, I don't know how big you want to get it, but I would still like to see that happen. I don't know if you guys have heard anything, if he's going to try to keep doing that, but and this never happened because it was right around COVID, right? And they just shut it down.
I remember. Oh, sorry. I remember one year I ran into Evander Holyfield, and then another year I saw Lennox Lewis, and I asked Lennox Lewis, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm at the Everlast booth. They're paying me $60 grand a day."
Oh, wow.
And
wow.
I was like, oh, geez. Because I didn't even, that was the year I didn't even see a boxing hall. I was like, oh, I guess there's like a boxing hall or an MMA hall, you know? So that's just.
Yeah.
So, you know, the show, the Rock is planning, or the whole event, I heard there's a bodybuilding show attached to it with like $1 million freaking prize money. So now what I heard, what you guys all heard, is that Arnold's is going up to $500,000. So next year for the winner. So you think the Olympia has to match that this year, or what's going to happen there?
I mean,
well, I certainly don't think the Olympia wants to be outdone. They don't.
Absolutely.
They're probably thinking, oh, geez.
So you can
stick the hand in the pocket.
In 4 months, you can make $1 million if you're Mr. Olympia and win the Arnold's.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure Jake Wood's going to reach into his pocket. I mean, that's definitely a shot fired. But I mean, hey, you know, good for them. I mean, even
Dennis, what was your prize money for the Arnold's?
Don't get him talking about that. He's going to get pissed off.
That's pretty good.
Was it 130 and a Hummer, like, or a car and something? They didn't.
I was the only idiot who didn't get anything.
He's still bitter, dude. I was about to.
He didn't get a new microwave or anything like that.
No jacket.
No most muscular award. No, nothing. Zero.
Yeah.
Only the check and the jacket.
Yeah.
It was a budget year.
I got the jacket.
The jacket. Yeah, I got the jacket. Yeah. Yeah, man. Unfortunately, what can I say? You know.
All right.
That was the year.
We're gonna get into talk a little bit about the latest IFBB shows. Real quick, was there ever a show attached to the FIBO? Has it always just been an expo? There's never been a show there.
There used to be.
Really? Where did that stop? I mean, it seems like obviously they have the people in attendance. It was just, was it?
They did a show last year. There was a pro qualifier. It was Dennis James with Penada. So, and I think something went wrong. So they canceled these shows.
I remember
no show.
I remember Johnny Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah, Johnny Jackson won a pro show there one year.
Okay, yes. That was also, I think Dennis was involved in that too. Or he was just an MC. I don't remember. But yeah, there was Ronnie Rockwell competing, Dexter Jackson. Yeah, there was a couple times in a row.
Well, I'd like to see it. If it's that big, I definitely want to go next year, but I would love to see a show. And with something that big, and I've always liked when the Olympia does it, is to throw it out there on stage during the, during the expo when people are walking around. The people may not, necessarily pay tickets to go see it. would get exposed to it and have some interest in it. And I don't know, there's always money to be made. Nobody's going to do that, but I've always enjoyed that, and it's just out there, in the expo, at least where you could see it. And then if you want, to pay for a ticket to get closer, then obviously they can tape something off or whatever. But I mean, obviously it's big enough. They don't need a show, but I would just like to, I think that where there, one belongs there if it's that big. But
Yeah.
That's my take.
Hey, Dennis, like our show in Switzerland, you mentioned yours is a regional. You have any ambition to turn this into a pro qualifier, or you're going to stay regional?
Ooh, of course. I mean, pro qualifier is the goal,
Because, I think I heard some people try to talk us out of it. I think the costs are way higher. It's not worth it. It's a financially not worth it to turn into pro qualifier. I think Sean Ray with his show, he stayed in Hawaii. He stayed regional. He does.
I know. The problem is Hawaii is the U.S.
Yeah.
So there's no pro qualifier.
Yeah.
So you have to win the nationals or USA, so something like that. So
yeah, we have now
Europeans are allowed to do pro qualifier.
Yeah, we have now 2 in Switzerland the first time this year, and if both do well, next year is supposed to be one of them is supposed to be a pro qualifier. I think Switzerland is ideal. You have all the countries around it. You get the Italians, the Germans, the Austrians, French. It's right in the middle of it. Would be a perfect qualifier. So I look forward to that.
And Swiss people, they love bodybuilding. Every time I went there for a guest appearance, insane. They will wait for me, and then like sucking every second, every beat in the music, so they will just enjoy it. This is just crazy. So
I think the Swiss mentality is still like being like a Dennis Wolf is still kind of unreal to them. The Swiss mentality is, yeah, you can be great, but not like that great, And now when somebody like you shows up, it's like, wow, what the hell? God is here, So we need to, Switzerland is still a little bit small-minded in that. I remember when I grew up, I mean, it was like, well, I don't think you can win the Swiss championship because the people from the French part are too good. Then you
really?
You win the Swiss championship, and it's like, well, but the European, when you look at the Germans, then the Dutch, there's no freaking way. Then you beat the Germans, and then but don't go to the universe. The Americans will. It's just it's a different thing, and then you win the universe, guys. You have to.
So that was the same talk in Germany. I remember I was amateur, and then they will talk about world championship in Russia. That's gonna be crazy. Some people are gonna be there competing. Hey, it's incredible. So no chance, So things like that. It was always the talk. I think German mentality is close to that too. So, but nothing is impossible. So
I won the universe.
I kind of never imagined also to win that kind of big show, right? So, but it happened. So we just need to pull through it.
And then when I won the universe, then I went to the Arnolds, and it started again. I said, look, I see them guest post, but they're not like, even when they're in good shape. It's once you see them in stage. And I remember walking backstage at the Arnold, kind of scared. And then you see all those little tiny guys walk around. I expected everybody to see 6'4" and 300 pounds. And I've seen all those little guys walking around. It's like, wow, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Of course, they look great, but I had a total different expectation. I think there's all Hulk and Lou Ferrigno here. Yeah? So, it's kind of have to grow into that, that's for sure.
But for Europeans also to see a professional bodybuilder live, it's not always very possible, right? So like for an American. In America, you see them, more and more often. The shows, there are more shows in US than in Germany or Europe. So, and every time you see someone like that, he's like my old friend, he was like, do you really want to look like that? I said, yes, man, yes.
Hell yeah.
But it's like you said, it's like for them, like, look at that. Can you imagine how much work and do you really want to look like this? Yeah.
On your show, you have guest posers or you don't do that?
Yeah. I always try to bring some good guys. So I had Dennis again because he made some improvements over the last year. So he did well. And I had Mario Riga. This is the guy and my friend who always did my music. for my posing routine when I was professional. So, and a young guy, Andre Gasner, is a new classic physique pro. So it was pretty cool, you know.
So
I always
who's the
try to
best?
give young athletes the opportunity to, you know, represent themselves and do something.
So
you
who's
know.
the best German bodybuilder right now, in your opinion?
Right now,
This moment, yeah.
bodybuilder,
Yeah.
man, it's hard to tell.
Used to be easy to answer.
I would say
for-
from all the last qualifications for the Olympia, there will be Roman Fritz, and he won a show, right?
Yeah.
Nobody else won a show.
Yep.
That's
Team
true.
Budesheim,
Are you guys a fan of that?
unfortunately, you know, like
that,
they always say that he has a great potential, but unfortunately, like for I don't know, last 7 years, he's not moving up. So that's the thing, and that's a fight for him too, because you know we're all getting older, you know, and yeah, man, and I think he's frustrated, you know, not placing well, because I think his first season was really well. He placed second at the California Pro, things like that. So yeah, and since then nothing really big happened, and he's gonna compete at the New York. New York is packed too with brutal guys, you know. So yeah, but you know I was rooting for Germans, and yeah, but it's difficult to say, you know. Right now it's just not so much about the bodybuilding, more classic physique, right? So you know.
Yeah, that's across the board. Ron, have
Yeah.
you ever put a show on up there in Canada?
Yeah, we have we co-promote a show every year called the Van City Showdown, and it's in the fall. It's usually like first weekend of October, last weekend of September area, and we have a 2-day show. So we have a natural show and an open show back to back, Saturday and Sunday.
That's
And
cool. I like that option.
IMC the whole weekend.
Perfect.
And we do the new format where we do the men in the morning and the women at night, and we just blast through it. So I'm on stage 4 times. I basically do 4 shows in 2 days, right? I do the men in the morning, women at night, men in the morning, women at night. And the last 2 years, we also had a 212 pro show attached.
Oh, nice.
And that was a lot of fun. And we executed it perfectly. It went really, really well. And, you know, the Manions were really happy with how we ran it, and Tyler was really impressed with how it went down. We know we had all pro judges and everything, and we were really, really proud of how it went. We're not going to do the 212 class this year because the schedule came out, and if we do a 212 class, it won't qualify guys for this year's Olympia. It's too close. It will qualify them for the next year's Olympia. And we just don't think we would get that many guys. And, you know, if you don't really get a good turnout for it, it makes it, you know, less attractive to put the sanctioning fees and the prize money. So you're putting like, you know, 25 US down, right? And not maybe getting many entrants. So last year, of course, it qualified guys for that Olympia. So it was a good play. But we're going to sit out the 212 class this year. But the 2-day show always sells out. It's packed full of competitors. It's been a real success, and we're real proud of it.
That's great, man.
Hey,
That's
last
awesome.
year we had the same situation here in one of our California shows. It was a week or 2 before the Olympia, so it already counted for next year. So that was classic. So there were 2 guys showing up who were qualified for the Olympia, kind of risking their prep to qualify for next year already. So it was absolutely worth it. So it turned out good, but I was afraid that could happen. You know, nobody shows up. But yeah, a couple of guys showed up. They didn't do well at the Olympia, but you know, in classic at the Olympia, how many guys are on stage? You got to be really good to get in. There was like 50 guys in the classic last year. You gotta stand out, guy. You know,
they had like seven call outs of like 5 or 6 guys, or 6 or 7 guys. It was crazy.
Now, is the qualification the same for them this year? They have to win a show, or is it different? So, I mean, if that's the case, there should be 50
win a
guys,
show
right?
or points. Yeah.
Oh, there's
no more points in bodybuilding. Yeah?
No points in bodybuilding. No.
But there is in other classes. Is that what you're saying? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't think so.
Oh, maybe the points are gone too. Yeah,
they're all gone,
yeah. You got to win now. Yeah.
Well, that was one of my
questions.
It's hard to keep
up.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys what you thought about that. If you think there should be a point system, or if you like it, I can see both points of view. Because I mean, one, if you can't win a show, are you really going to do that well in the Olympia? But two, say you pick the wrong shows, man, like the New York Pro, and you kind
Well,
of guys that
what
are
I always
inevitable in
liked,
that top 5. So it's tough.
what
Go
I
ahead.
always liked back in our days, you had to be top 3 in any of the shows. And it was very, very hard because you were only the Night of Champions, the Arnolds, and then a couple of shows around it. And mostly the guys who were doing well at the Arnolds or Night of Champions, they did well there too. So if you placed 4th and the first 3 were already qualified, they still gave you the qualification for the Olympia. And it happened 96. I remember the second show in San Jose, Churlock placed 4th. Vince Taylor, Levroni, and Dillette were already qualified, so he got the automatic qualification. I think they should do that here too. So if the first one is already qualified, they should give the second one the qualification.
I completely agree. That's the way to do it. So if you're not going to have a point system,
Yeah, but there were less shows back in the days.
Yeah.
There were less
If
shows.
a guy's already qualified and
the thing.
wins, then it should go to the next guy. I think that's a good way to do it, man. Yeah, for sure.
Can you imagine all the shows we have right now? Top 3 will be qualified. You will have 50 guys
that'd be
on stage
crazy.
to Olympia.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That'd be a long night.
That's
But,
the thing.
you know-
I liked that too back in the days. That was awesome. So and also like New York Pro, it was top 5 qualification. So that was awesome.
Do you remember
But
the
like I
days
said,
when
it's,
there used to be the days when the top 10 at the Olympia, didn't the top 10 requalify back in the
but think
old
about
days?
this.
Yeah,
Think about
crazy.
this. In my time, it was top 10. But then at the end, only 5-6 more qualified because it was almost impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, try to go to a week or before or after the Night of Champions, and then you have to beat Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, and Kevin Levroni.
Showing up at every show.
Yeah. So,
collecting the checks.
Yeah.
correct.
right.
So then, even if 10 were already qualified for last Olympia, then another 5-6 added on during the year. That was pretty much it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the Grand Prix tour after, where they used to cram like 10 shows into 3 weeks. Guys would be doing a Tuesday night show, a Thursday night show, a Saturday night show. Same guys on the bus. Yeah.
Lee Priest would
Yeah.
put on like 40
Hey,
pounds
Dennis,
by the end of the week.
Yeah. Hey, do you either, like, how many Grand Prix shows were there when you were in the late 90s there, JP? Did you do that Grand Prix tour at all? How many shows were left?
6 in 2 weeks.
6 in 2 weeks when you were doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. So what was that like? You guys were all traveling together, right? Like they had you guys all bundled.
Except Dorian, maybe he had his own kind of thing going, but there was no food organized. You had to kind of know somebody. You arrived at the hotel at midnight, and I remember first time I thought there's gonna be a buffet, waiting for the bodybuilders. We arrived in Spain like at midnight, and I didn't eat for hours, and arrived at the hotel and there's nothing,
Oh, geez.
and
They gotta
tried
have
to
that
find
dough.
in
It's
Madrid
crazy.
food at
Oh,
midnight.
in Spain, no chance.
Yeah, no chance.
Yeah.
And then, it was every day like that. So it was brutal. I mean, looking back now, I could have done this a little smarter. I had plenty of friends in Europe. I mean, but I clearly didn't have the smarts to do that the right way. And I remember I talked to LeBron, to Kevin once, said, why you're so good? He gotten smaller during the tour, but he always won. He said, look, if I can't find any food, I just don't eat anything at all. So he used to go like days without food, pretty much.
Wow.
Where
Just get harder and
Nasser
harder.
and I-
Of course, Kevin's the most genetically gifted freak on the planet,
So he'd be small, he'd be a little flat, but he'd be peeled, and he'd be like, just
he won pretty much 70% of all the shows. Where Nasser and I were so afraid to getting smaller, we started grabbing every food we could find. So then, one night was like a hit, the next night was a miss. So you tried to kind of, let's inject maybe a Lasix 2 hours before the show. You could work out. And the next night, you were sweating like a pig up there. So, like I said, with a little bit more knowledge and better coaching, there would have been better way of doing that. Dorian showed up. He usually did the first 3 shows. He showed up, try hard every freaking night. He was not running from grocery store to grocery store like Nasser and I can guarantee you that. So there is a way of doing things, even if things are not organized perfectly.
you guys are doing Burger King roulette.
That's what we did. That's when I saw how much Ronnie Coleman can eat in England at the McDonald's. I mean, that guy could eat. And Nasser had 6 Apfelstrudel a night before the show. I mean, it's just freaking insane. I say, like, can't go back in time, but definitely we left a lot of money out there. It's just being stupid. Yeah.
Well, man, you know what? Let's jump into it. We're gonna run out because I got some other stuff I want to get to. Let's cover these shows real quick and just kind of get your thoughts. First off, the Arnold Classic South America. That's been 3 weeks now, I believe, since that show. The big. I don't know if it'd be controversial, but it came down to Rafael Brandao and Antonio Burton. Rafael wound up taking the show. After the show, Tonio had some words about Brandao's condition. And, after seeing him at the Arnold in person, I definitely think he was harder in Columbus. Do you guys think he deserved that win, or did you guys have Tonio taking that one? I've even heard some conspiracy theories on this. So what do you guys think?
Let me go first. So I looked at the videos. I looked at every single picture I could find. But like I say, I wasn't there, so I could never 100% make a judgment here. So first, when I looked at the pictures, as Tonio should clearly win this, till I saw the front double biceps pose. And I realized how tiny that guy is.
And that's not his best shot, for sure. Yeah. No, he's not huge. Yeah, because he's coming from 212. But God, he was in condition, though.
It cannot be your best shot, but I was in shock next to Brandao on that front double biceps pose. And then you come out, you're in the lineup, you go in the first pose, and then you're pretty much on your heels. And once I saw that, and the beauty of Rafael, although in the back poses, Tonio clearly won the back poses, but I think it was okay to have him win. I think it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, his flow.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm on the same page too. I'm a real condition guy. I really appreciate the back double being just peeled. People peeled out of their minds, like Vito. The way Vito's been showing up at these shows. But there's just it's the Flex Wheeler thing. Flex's glutes weren't always the hardest, but the beauty of his physique and the flow and the roundness and the taper and the front double bicep and all that stuff. And Raf is very, very dangerous, even if he's not fibers everywhere. And so I mean, it was not. I mean, I've seen. If you're talking about bad calls, I've seen way worse calls than that. That was still very arguable. And like JP said, I mean, it was more of a shoulder shrug for me. I was like, that's how it goes. You got to be there in person too. Like, there's lots of times I've said, I've called Aceto many times and said, hey, what was this show like? And he's like, you had to be there. That guy deserved it.
Right.
And, so I just sort of, I don't want to be an Instagram armchair critic about that type of a call. I've seen way, way more controversial calls.
Well, and they're in, was it in Brazil? I believe the show was in Brazil. So, I mean,
I know people made a big deal about that. 7 of the 10
competitors were in Brazil, but I don't know. I kind of agree with you, and I love his, and I'm a Brandao fan. We saw him at the Arnold, Ohio. Did you feel like, and I'd like to see a side-by-side picture, but I felt like he was in better shape in Ohio. What did you think? I mean, do you think he was harder in Ohio? Because that Brandao, I mean, he was like my favorite guy there, man, really. I thought he looked awesome.
Look, we were live in Columbus, so we saw him live. That's a little bit different, and I agree with Ron. You cannot, or I don't judge pictures or stream. This is totally off. So I don't know why, but I don't see anything, right? So sometimes it looks like the guy's out of shape, right? So the next view is different. So it's really, really hard to judge on that. But Rafael is very dangerous. And even if he was a little bit off compared to Columbus, he's just having a beautiful physique. So in that this is very, very tough, right? So one guy is dry but not that beautiful, So and then the other guy is just aesthetics all over it, like you said, GP with flex and stuff, right? So yeah, I agree. There were much worse calls on the judging, back in the days also, but this is okay. So I'm a big fan of Rafael. I think he's very aesthetic and he has a great future, I think.
Man, jump into last weekend's Detroit Pro, man. Now, for me, this was, I watched it live stream. I watched, the video. This was close for me. I mean, obviously two a little bit different physiques, but Martin Fitzwater and Good Vito, I thought it was very close. I didn't know what you guys thought. I could have had it gone either way because some shots, I mean, definitely Good Vito, I thought had him. From the back, his legs, they look like Rammies when he was in shape. I mean, just glutes and his legs are monstrous, man, especially from the back. I could have had, him winning, but it was close. I mean, what did you guys think? I saw on the scorecards that there was a little bit wider margin at the finals, but it was a 1-point deal after the prejudging. So that was not many competitors, but man, that was a close one. I like both of those guys.
Well, so I'm watching Marty for a very long time. He used to compete against one of my guys, Mike Cleaves, who won the overall 2019 at the North American. And I was very impressed with Marty. He used to lose those shows. He wasn't quite on the level there. The amount of anger when he lost, you could just see he's hungry. He wants to come back. He wants to improve in a very special way. Everybody says, "Oh, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna be improved." But with him, you could just feel it with every fiber. And I think there was last year he was very, very disappointed. And I was very, very happy about the progress he made. Yeah, he could have been a little harder, but that rear double biceps pose, not quality-wise, but there's a little bit of feel heat in there. I mean,
it was round.
Was just, wow. I mean, really wow. But it could have gone either way. I think he won deserved, but then again, when you're there and you see which I wasn't, and you see a quality of a Vito, that's probably hard to get around. But again, seen way worse. It was okay, but he's gonna have to be a little bit harder in New York if he wants to be in the top 3.
Do you guys think that if Tonio would have hung on and done that show, he would have taken it, or do you think? What do you think on that? You think he would have?
Difficult.
Yeah, it's hard to say, man. He would have definitely been a massive problem. That was one of the closest. I mean, again, Instagram critic here, but that was one of the closest top 2s I have seen in a long time. Really I remember looking at the prejudging, zooming in on all the prejudging, all the 4K stuff, and thinking, oh man, this is because they're different, right? Like Vito and Martin they're not the same look, right? Vito's a little freakier. He's got a little bit more a little bit more hard angles to his physique, I guess you could say, where Fitzwater is a little more rounder, and Vito's quads are just nuts. But Fitzwater had that, that look where the skin looks so tight that even if he eats one more muffin, he's just going to pop
or spill over. Yeah. One of those two.
Yeah. When he would squeeze his shots, he just looked like bursting. And I got to hand it to that guy, man. He pulled out a very, very, very close win. And I messaged him after. I was like, man, that Vito guy's no slouch. That was a good win for you. And he was just like, thanks. I also think, I don't know Martin that well. I just know him a little bit, but I also think he seems like he's matured a bit with his view on the shows and how he's speaking about the shows and stuff. And that's really good to see. And I would love to see Vito win a show, man, because that physique, I would love to see him at the O, it's just a very, very hard loss for him, obviously. But
yeah. That comes back into the the point still or having to win a show. But I think when you look at that, if he had the thickness, not that he's not thick, but that Martin had on that back double by, that would have been that's where I think he had him, because it went to the lat spread and he's wider. He's wider than Martin. But man, when they hit the back double by, Martin's just his rhomboids and his traps are a little thicker up top.
And that constantly changed my mind when I looked through the pictures.
Yeah.
Which
the side shots I thought were close. The front double by, I think I had good Vito in that one, so it was great. It was a good battle, man. So that one was good.
I also have to say I like to see guys who train really hard win shows, and Martin training with Brett Wilkins there. Those two guys, they're just absolute animals in the gym. And it's hard to not root for guys who train like, you know, blood and guts style. Like,
and you see that, you'll see the guy on stage, he trains hard or not.
He trains.
So that's the thing.
He trains hard. He trains hard as shit. And it was like kind of a win for the old boys, you know?
I think also he had that look from the front like young Branch Warren.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
He's a better hairline.
What?
He's got a better hairline. But
Right.
yeah, he's in there.
Yeah, but really, he remind me of Branch, and he was, like you said, almost like before he, like popping, like totally exploding. Ross, he was so full, and that look, you know, from the fullness, which pushes the skin a little bit. It's crazy, right? So, but I'm very happy for Vitaly. It's his name, you know, Vitaly Ugalnikov. So I'm very happy that he finally came in shape, in condition, great condition, and like sick condition. So nobody expected that, because in the last few shows he was kind of a little bit off, not really hard, not really bringing the tan, right? So he looked off a little bit, right? So that was like the critics he will get, right? So, but man, I saw the pictures first, and then the presentations. Whew. I'll suggest to Vitaly to just kind of move the legs a little bit closer. That gonna make him look better, right? So that's
he stands very wide. Stands very wide, yeah.
You should go, like try a little bit, you know, kind of close in with the legs a little bit, so make a different X type look, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
So, make the difference,
but very close
there,
show, very close call, and man,
he's young. He's
that's
pretty
always,
young.
always exciting.
Who is going to New York now, besides Nick Walker?
Okay,
That's a good question.
I know
man,
Nick
actually.
Walker, Tim Budesheim. Who else?
Well, I'm a big fan of our Canadian boy Quentin Beastwood.
all right.
Big
Is that
Quentin.
one he's getting ready
Is
for.
he going?
Beautiful frame, gigantic bodybuilder. He just continually improving. Like there's so much room for him. He's so young and so humongous, and I just want to see him like in there with that very top group of guys. He's probably going to be the biggest guy on stage. I mean, he's 6 feet tall.
He's so tall, but when he diets down, he looks a little thin just because he's so tall. But if he comes in full,
he's getting bigger though. If you see the last set of pictures he's put up, legs are humongous. It just it's a really great. You know how like big bodybuilders are hard to come by, Dennis?
Yeah.
Right. Big bodybuilders are hard to come by with
right.
frames like you. And to see if
It takes a lot of time.
To see another frame like yours filling out
great. Yeah,
is exciting. You know, I really want to see Quentin Beastwood get really recognized at a show like New York and get his
we
spot.
always see like in the past like shorter physiques, right? Shorter guys.
Yeah.
Like was my God, Hadi is short. Derek is short.
Yeah.
Samson is a taller guy, right? So
he's got a Samson. He's got a Samson-esque frame and look to him, and I'm 6 foot, 6'1" when I was a little younger and a little less squashed down. So I'd like to see that. How tall is JP? How tall are you, man? You're 6 foot, right?
181, 5'11 and a half.
5'11 and a half. Yeah. So I mean,
am I taller than JP? Okay.
You know, it's a tall guys. Can't
imagine that, because I remember you as a mountain.
Right? Yeah.
Everybody else around me was 5'7", yeah. So Dorian was 5'10", and we had Nestor and Ivy 5'11", so that's why we looked so tall. There was only one guy. Paul Dillette was taller. Other than that, everybody was short.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of those taller guys, man, Ronald Gordon looked good at that show last weekend too. I know it was all about Good Vito and Martin, but man, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Ronald Gordon looked really good, man. I mean, it was just a tough show. He's taller. Is he from England? I'm not sure where. Maybe not.
Sure.
But now good. Next to Nick, you can really measure up where you stand. I mean, we all have no doubt Nick is a top 4 bodybuilder in the world. So now we'll see.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think Beef Stewart might be doing that one too.
Stewart is going, right?
Chicago
Stewart is going.
Yeah, Stewart and Jordan. Maybe just getting ready for Texas.
He's doing Texas.
I think so. He may be doing Chicago. I'm not sure.
So
How close are Chicago and New York?
Oh,
Are they close together?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
So then we have Tonio Mordi and Nick. That's a pretty cool show.
If you got to put $1,000 on it, I mean, I put it on Nick.
Is Reagan doing this show?
I don't know what Regan's doing.
No.
Is he in prep or not?
No,
I'm not sure. That's right.
He looked fantastic at the O.
Is
That
he not
guy's-
like 300 pounds now or something?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, probably not.
Well,
He's not-
if Quentin does it, I'm with you, man. I would like to see him meet his potential, and you know, he's gonna be a force, man. If he puts it all together, he's nobody
even
else
if
looks like him.
Yeah, even if he doesn't have even if he's not filled out enough to be like, a threat to Nick, which, I mean, Nick is, let's face it, Nick is like the favorite, right?
Yeah.
But I would love to see him getting shuffled around with those guys. That'd be a real arrival for him at a giant show like the New York.
Yeah, it's different looks for sure. Hey, guys, we're going to take a quick break from the podcast action, and we're going to shoot it over to Rodney, our formulating specialist. He's going to tell us a little bit more about Big Bad Burn today and how you guys can get ripped for the summer.
Hey guys, Rodney here with Nutrition Wolf. Just want to go over Big Bad Burn. Big Bad Burn is our thermogenic. Our thermogenic is designed to not only increase your metabolic rate, but also decrease appetite at the same time. Very strong thermogenic. It has GBD ethyl ester and grains of paradise, standardized for 6-paradol, so it's really going to make you sweat. It is a stimulant-based product, so be careful stacking it with another product like a pre-workout that's stimulant-based or something like that, or even, of course, taking it at night. But if you're looking for something that's going to increase your metabolic rate, kill your appetite, and make you sweat, this is the one for you. This is just one of our products. If you'd like to check us out more, check us out at nutritionwolf.com or check us out on social media.
All right,
I agree.
let's switch gears, man. So in honor of Ron joining us on the show today, I want to talk about our favorite gyms, spots that are worth the trip, 2-hour drive, wherever. I know for me, when I go on vacation, out of state, or I haven't been out of the country much, but man, my first thing is find what the hardcore gym is around, because that's, a lot of people go on vacation, and as a bodybuilders, even if you're not competing, we do this every day, and people I'm not training, I'm going to eat whatever I want. I definitely eat what I want for the most part, but man, I love going to these new gyms. And that's why, like, Ron, when you said to come on, I was like, I remember seeing your show, the Mutant on a Mission a few years ago. I was like, this guy has the best job in the world. Like, that's amazing. And I mean, you get to go around and go to all these places. So I'm definitely jealous, but I know, like I say, when I go on vacation, I'm like, what gym can I go hit? And so, I thought, we're all here technically we're all from different countries, right? Born and raised. So I thought we could have a good mix. And, let's see, whoever wants to start. Ron, if you want to start, I mean, I know, Mutant on a Mission, you're in season 9 now. Is that correct?
Yeah, season 9. Unbelievable.
Oh,
Wow. How many years is that now you've been doing it?
First season was 2014. And, we just started putting them out, and the response was great, and real passionate cult following, Who
was
like
that concept? Was that your concept, or who came up with the whole thing? It's awesome.
Yeah. So basically in 2013, Mutant started sending me on the expo round. We did the Body Power, the FIBO, the Arnold, the Arnold Madrid, the Arnold class, and they're sending me around, and we had a segment called Mutant in a Minute, which was like the guys giving, back when Piana, remember Rich Piana was a mutant there back in those days. And we had that old crew, and we were given tips. So we had Mutant in a Minute, we had Mutant Meals, which is us like giving food, like stuff like that,
Okay.
for the YouTube channel.
Right.
And I just had this idea. I said to my boss, I said, hey, you're already putting me on a plane to send me somewhere. Why don't I find a cool gym? Maybe it's an unknown little hole in the wall, or maybe I'm close to like a famous gym, like Bev's. I think season 2, I went to Bev's, and I could go there and I could interview the gym owner, kind of like, diners, drive-ins, and dives, but for gyms,
Right. Exactly.
like when the Food Channel's got those shows, right? And he looked at me and he goes, well, what would you call it? And I said, Mutant in a Minute. Or sorry, I said Mutant on a Mission, because he kind of went with all the other names that we had. And he loved it. And he said, well, we'd have to find the budget for it. And it took a little while. And he said, okay, you got 6 episodes. We'll do a season. We'll call it season 1. And I just, and actually the first episode was supposed to be Dorian's Temple Gym. And I contacted Dorian and I said, hey, I'm coming to Body Power. I've got this idea. And I pitched it to Dorian, and Dorian loved it. He was cool with it, but he goes, I live in Spain now and I won't be back in the country until Friday. So like I'm already at the expo, right? And I thought, well, that's not going to work, you know? So we just kind of looked on Facebook and we just thought, well, let's just try it at some other gym.
I was going to ask you how you come up with, like, you know, the places you hit. And
yeah. So we thought, let's just, and we found this other gym called Dino's Gym. And on Facebook, it looked cool. It had all these old pictures and all this old Gym 80 equipment from the 80s. And it would just look like a hardcore dungeon style gym. And so we just thought, well, we'll just go film an episode there and see how it goes. And once I met Dino, I realized the show wasn't about the gyms. It's about the gym owners and the passion they have for their gym. And that's the story. And I met Dino that day and we trained together and he talked my ear off. He showed me every piece in his gym and every picture on his wall and every rip in his upholstery and everything, that told me why he hadn't repainted the bench. I'll never repaint this bench. You know, Bill Kazmaier benched 600 pounds in a t-shirt on this bench. There's no way I'll ever repaint it. And all those types of stories. And I just thought, holy, this is the show. And that is still, I became lifetime friends with Dino. He's like a brother to me. And I see him every time I go to Birmingham. I go train at Dino's. It's like my second home. But that's how the show started. And I just started, you know, contacting gyms, explaining the show to them. And as the show progressed through the seasons, gyms started calling me.
Absolutely.
And started inviting me to their gym. Come and look at my gym. I collect equipment too. And there's all these crazy equipment collector guys. They're hunting for a Flex Fitness plate loaded chest press because they want one, you know, and that passion for equipment and passion for old school, a passion for the biggest gym they can build. You know, some guys are putting millions into their gyms. And so it just turned into this show. And 9 seasons later, I've been to, I guess we're almost 90 gyms now I've done. Wow. And now it's, you know, the show is created and, you know, essentially produced by me. I pick the gyms and I plan the trips, and I'm trying to make it work with, you know, Mutant has say on the budget. Obviously I can't just go anywhere I want, but we try to make it work. And, you know, so I went to Dennis's backyard. I said, man, Dennis Wolf's like one of my favorite bodybuilders all time. He's got this amazing backyard gym. I think Gym 80's cool. I want to go to Dennis's house. So Mutant's like, great idea. And there's no rules. Like, you know, I went to Diamond Gym in New Jersey and I trained with Akeem back in, you know, season 4. And Akeem was wearing a Muscle Med shirt. Mutant didn't care. They don't give a shit. They're like, whatever you want. You know, I trained with guys wearing other brands on their shirts. I trained with, you know, it doesn't matter. And that's just how the show became what it is. And, you know, I mean, the episodes don't get millions of views, but the viewers are very passionate about that show. People come up to me constantly at the booth and in other gyms, and they say, I love your show. I love the gyms. It inspired me to open a gym. It inspired me to quit my job and build a gym. And I'm like, what? You know, like I went to America's Gym in Chicago last year, and the owner there, Brian, he's a full-time firefighter, and he runs that gym with his wife. They have one staff member. He spends all his days off in there. He built it by hand. He powder coated everything himself, and he's so proud of that gym. And he did that because of the show, and it's just been absolutely amazing. It's unbelievable. And you know, I've always kind of been a little bit of a, you know, I don't really like the corporate gyms. You know, then they got no soul. Everything matches. You know, I don't want to train on you know, a generic setup. You know, just you need something in the carpet and something in the equipment and something in the selection. And like I said, it's about the owners and the stories of the gyms, and it's been fantastic.
Well, I'm a fan, man. I've loved it. I think the concept is, like you said, man, that's amazing. Before we get the guys, well, everybody can pick 2 gyms, but Ron, I want to know, the most unforgettable gym, and I know you've been to a lot and a lot more than us, but like, what's the one, and it doesn't have to have the best equipment or whatever, that you would say was your favorite? And what's the most unique piece of equipment that you've ever seen, whether it be, it was an awesome piece, or this was like something that, you know, Arnold did back in the day. Like there's got to be one piece that stands out.
Well, I'll just quickly name a few gyms. I already mentioned Dino's. That's like almost like a spiritual journey for me to go to Dino's now. And anyone who goes to the Arnold UK, got to go check out Dino's. There's no other gym like it. You could never open that gym now, because you can't open a gym and have 30 years of history in the walls and carpet with old Gym 80 equipment from West Germany, right? You can't do that now. Like, you wouldn't get any members, right?
No way.
But he's got that, and that's an amazing thing. And I mentioned Diamond Gym, which is one of the most unique gyms I've ever trained at too, in New Jersey. Just unbelievable, the energy in there. When I walked in the door, everybody stared at me like, who's this guy? And then by the time I left, I was treated like family. And but the Super Gym, the Montanari Brothers Powerhouse, was one of in Connecticut.
That's a great gym.
was one of the best gyms. You know, the old Quads Gym downtown. I know Dave recently passed away, but that Quads Gym, what an amazing setup he had there.
Chicago.
Yeah, in Chicago. Crazy old brick building. Like, it was amazing. He had one of the best collections I've ever seen. You know, there's a bunch. But I you know, the old Doherty's gym in Melbourne, Australia, Tony Doherty's gym there, man, the stuff on the walls, all the photos, all those photos that Tony took at front row at the Olympia for 30 years. Like, you know, that sort of stuff is really, really, you can't buy that and put it on the wall, you know? And so those gyms are real special. And, you know, obviously I'm leaving a whole bunch out, but as far as equipment goes, you know, it's what people go through to get their equipment. Like Iron Asylum in Longview, Texas, you know, Mike Harrison there. It's guys like him. He shows me a leg press, and, you know, it might just be like a hammer leg press that he wanted, but it's how he got it. He's like, yeah, you know, I've been looking for this piece forever. I found it in Jersey, so I bought it. And then I hopped in my truck and drove 36 hours with my trailer.
Hell yeah.
Picked it up and drove 36 hours back.
That's awesome.
And I'm just like, the fuck? Like, that's the stuff that blows my mind. You know, I'm the type of guy that I get stuff shipped.
Yeah. Dude, this stuff is hard to find. When you find some of that, like the old chain link stuff,
yeah,
Nautilus,
I wanted this Nautilus curl.
They don't sell it, man, because
and
it's
also
where it needs to be, or it's buried somewhere where nobody can find it. You know?
Yeah, and some of these owners, I mean, you know, some of these gyms, like, they don't have 5,000 inactive members. They don't have like $100,000 of just, you know, extra cash coming in every month. They've got 1,000 active members, and so every dollar matters. And shipping something for $900, it's worth getting in my truck. I'm going to get in my truck and drive all night to get that piece, because I don't want to spend the money to ship it. And that's what builds the passion in those sorts of gyms.
I love it. JP. Oh, we lost him.
You lost JP.
All right. Well, we'll come back to him. Dennis, why don't you go? You know, tell me where you did most of your training when you were prepping for your, you know, Olympias, and you know, what was special to you, and where you got the best workouts when you were really in your competition days.
Well, I'll say I started in Germany, so here are a couple of gyms, you know, they pretty much old Gym 80 equipment, all of that. So, I mean, we all used to train on that equipment, and the gyms were very much small, you know, more hardcore, and gyms like today, they were not there, right? So there was a gym in Dortmund, Maldena. He was a head judge back in the days. I remember my first show, I stepped on the scale, and I was like 94, 95 kilos. And I was like, damn. He's like, you want to, you know, go down down the class? I said, yes. You want to lose a leg? You know, because 5 kilos is a lot. You cannot just, get rid of it. in a couple of hours. So so that was a great gym. He sold it to our younger guy, also a great person, Daniel. So he took over. So that gym is also like the whole building, old school. All equipment is old, but functional. So there's no broken piece of something. And that was really good. And also during my time as a professional, been around the world pretty much, every year. Doherty's is a great gym, and of course the Oxygens in Kuwait. So we were the first, like Ronnie's, I think went there first time in 2005. Then Dennis James in 2006. I went there in 2007, and kept going there. I don't know, maybe 2-3 times a year, just to train there. We got paid for that. We spent a couple of weeks over there every time. So that was impressive. Back then, gyms like that. I mean, right now you see it everywhere on Instagram, or go to Dubai, or Abu Dhabi. There's all full with Oxygen gyms, right? But back then, in 2007, 8, 9, 10, there were no bodybuilders. So all the people were watching us like, what the hell is going on here?
Oh, wow.
So that was also something, I will never forget. So impressive. And then 10 years later, well, they start winning shows. They became professionals. Rami was from there. So that's a great story, and also great memories.
Didn't Rami work the desk there?
No way.
No, he was a trainer. He was
a trainer there. Yeah.
Wow. Now, is it true they don't allow women in the gym? Is that correct?
No. Yeah. There's no women.
No.
Only
hotel
like
gyms,
like a bar, right? So they make a shake for you or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna make the food. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure that goes over real big over here.
But also, it's not Arabic who are locals. It's workers. From what I think like a lot from
England and Germany.
Philippines. A lot from Philippines in Kuwait. That's what I remember. Yeah.
JP, how about you, man? What are your favorite gyms when you were training?
I made two pages of notes when I was listening to Ron. A lot of memories came up, but I want to bore people here with gyms from the 90s. Today, I might probably better talk about diners, drive-ins, and dives, or drive-ins and dives, and then where are the best gyms. But there are
where's the best hot dog?
there are a few things I remember. I mean, back in the days, I used to go to Munich, train at the Albert Busek's center. There was another one at Leitenschmiede. There were just a lot of bodybuilders there, which we didn't have in Switzerland. Right now, there's one gym really standing out. Every time I go back to Switzerland, it's the famous David's Gym in Switzerland. It's absolutely
I never been there, but heard a lot of it.
It's absolutely great.
I've had people tell me to go there.
Yeah, it's a mix of professional fighters.
Season 10.
And today, what impresses me more is like, I went to a small gym here in the desert recently, Desert Metro. Really too small, but the way they chose the equipment. With the pendulum machine, the incline fly machine, which I only seen in Oxygen. I never had an incline fly machine back in the days. And you could tell every machine had a different kind of color. That's what impresses me, when they're really hand-picked. I liked it a lot. I remember back the days in Diamond Gym, where a friend told me a very funny story where he lost his gold earring or something at Diamond Gym, and pretty much when he was looking for it, he looked around and he knew not even think about it to ask anybody here, if you have my golden earring, that thing is gone. Yeah. I was kind of happy that the floors are keeping the leg press up, at the Diamond Gym. If it's still the same gym, it was like a regular house. It's just a gym built into a regular house. I cannot.
Crazy place.
Yeah, that was really, really impressive. I've been to so many good gyms, and back in the days when we all went to, of course, Gold's Gym in Venice, especially the second room with the old Nautilus equipment.
Yes,
that equipment. I don't know how much each of that equipment was weighing. It just needed probably 3 trucks to get it there, but that was something else. What was this piece of equipment you seen back in the days in the gym, that leg press? from Hammer Strength. It's like a freaking tower. You have to
Dude,
climb
okay,
up.
so
The H squat.
yeah.
It's called
H-
the H squat. Yeah.
Did
man, so
anybody
one of
ever
the places
use
on my
that?
list had one of those. That's awesome.
Did
What was
anybody,
that?
any of you guys ever use that? Was it any good?
I
So-
couldn't figure out how to climb into the thing, man.
We used to we used to have one. We actually had one, but it turns into a novelty piece, and people wind up not actually using it because it's not actually that good of a leg press.
That's what I was wondering.
It kind of rounds your back. Your hips kind of come up a lot. It's not the best leg press. It looks fun, and everyone kind of freaks out at first, but it winds up just being a coat rack.
Yeah. It's,
Dude, that's funny you mentioned that, man, because I've only seen one in person, and it was at this place called Mandrill's Gym. In have you been there, Ron? In Santa Fe, New Mexico. Last
No,
place
but
I
I've
ever
heard of it.
expected to find, a gym, because I was there for my sister-in-law's wedding about 5 years ago, and just looking for a place, on my Google Maps, and found it. So I drove over there, and it's like kind of a metal building, but man, it is like one of my favorite places. It was kind of dark, and they had, everything's yellow, all the old yellow Hammer Strength, and they had one of those things, and they had some real retro equipment in there. But Mandrill's Gym, and I went and looked them up before we did the show today, and I mean, they hadn't posted on their Instagram in 4 years, and they don't even have a website. But man, that place, if you're ever so random in Santa Fe, New Mexico, that was a cool spot, man. But
there was one gym I remember in Detroit, Powerhouse, but it was in the 90s, where I trained at like 6 in the morning there. My plane left early, and that was before people really did a lot of glutes, and I wanted to move my ass a little bit, and the guy got me all the way to the back to a room with like 10 glutes machines in it, and this is in the 90s. So whoever owned that gym had definitely had some foresight of what's coming. Yeah,
you made the first kickback. You used the first kickback, man, ever.
The first hip thrust ever.
Yeah.
I mean, during our times, if you had genetically a good ass, you had a good ass, and if not, you didn't, and it didn't really matter when it came to the judging. What is kind of sad now when I look at some of the pictures, but
right.
It's the way it was. You didn't lose 3 spots because your ass were a little saggy, So totally different. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
that's definitely I'm telling you, if you're into gyms, like I hear you're very passionate about it, Ron. If you ever make it to Europe, David's gym, it's the place. It's fantastic.
On my list. Yeah, man. I would love to do that.
And the owner, the way she worked her way up from a tiny, small gym, being constantly broke, to moving to a next facility, to taking a wall out, moving to the next facility, the way she just was fighting her way up, it's just an unbelievable story. This is also a lady who used to go to the FIBO and sleep in the car, 30 years, 40 years ago.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I just met her at the FIBO first time.
Yeah, she's
heard a lot of her, and she always let body was just like sleep there and prepare for a show, things like that. Yeah.
And she still organizes the shows in Switzerland.
Yeah, I know.
Three big gyms. That woman has just more energy than I ever will have.
That's so awesome. Yes, I agree. It's great.
JP, how often do you go back? How often do you go back to Switzerland, JP?
I try 3 times a year, but then I've been working on this crazy project. We maybe talk a little bit later about that. Didn't have much time recently, but I try 2 to 3 times a year.
Now, is this the app? Is this your fitness app you were telling me about?
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell us about that, man. Like, what is that exactly? Is that launched already?
I'm bringing to completion the most frustrating project of my life.
Is it bodybuilder specific, or is it more just general fitness?
It's for trainers.
Okay, for trainers. All right.
So, I'm doing online training since the beginning of online training, pretty much. And at first you do the WhatsApp thing, you send out plans like 20 years ago, and then you kind of start evolving, and there's a lot of fitness apps out there, and I was always so frustrated. Then I tried to talk to people. Can we improve the way we, line up the exercises? And nobody really wanted to ever work with me. They just wanted to take a big share of my profit every month. So I decided finally 2 years ago, let me develop my own app with everything I know and learned about online training. So you can kind of train a lot of people at the same time without cheating them and have a great product. And just kind of focus on the basics, what you need. So first, when I looked into it, how to make an app, I contacted some companies in the United States, in Switzerland, and there's so many moving parts when it comes to like the numbers of diet plans and all of that stuff, that I heard numbers of $150,000, $250,000, which I really couldn't afford till I found a company I worked with in a different on the latest stuff. I developed, helped somebody developing a language app some years ago, Genmetrics in India, and we started that project. And unfortunately, had a lot of bump in the roads. And I think next week we can release that freaking product, Fitnetics.
Really, next week?
Yeah, there's still, we have a little bit of a back and forth with Apple right now. Apple kind of declared it as a medical app, which I don't quite understand, because in the library you find any diet ever written by man, you know. So they, we put disclaimers on it. They were looking at this a little bit as a health hazard because we're giving out too much information. You know, a trainer can either create their own plans, but they can also take existing plan out of the library. So I needed the source of every single diet, who invented the diet, where is it written in the internet, give us the sources. I finally pleased them, also taking a professional dietitian on board who's reviewing all the plans. So finally that part is solved. There's one more little issue we hopefully resolve in the next 48 hours. I'm not going to bore people with that about in-app purchases. Hopefully by Monday we get that approved. And then I'm going to start with 50 trainers going into phase 2 to get, you know, I mean, I think it's the perfect app, but you need feedback, you know, you need other trainers on the app. So hopefully by next Wednesday or so, I'm going to put 50 trainers on it and go into phase 2. But I'm very happy with what I put together here, but it was extremely frustrating.
Man, we'll definitely check that out. What's it called again?
Yeah, Fitnetics.
Okay,
cool
name.
name.
Yeah, we'll post that up.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's
so
cool.
Next week, hopefully, you will see on my social media, and I will for sure push that as much as I can and go on more podcasts.
Well,
so yeah, next week is the time.
That's excellent. All right,
that's awesome.
Well, good deal.
Good luck with that.
Past the hour mark, we're gonna wrap it up. I know, Ron. I think you got to travel this afternoon, right?
Yeah, I'm traveling today. There's a show on Vancouver Island this weekend, so I got to catch a ferry, hour and a half ferry to Vancouver Island, and it's very beautiful over there. It's very peaceful, but Victoria is an amazing city, and if you ever get a chance to come out west in Canada here, you know, the Vancouver area, it's worth going to Vancouver Island for a day or two and seeing that. But it's we're going to the Van Island Showdown, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice. Well, good deal. For the record, I just want to throw out Armbrust Gym. That's my favorite US gym.
Dylan's awesome.
Oh,
yeah, I did an episode there. Great mention.
I saw him at an event at Destination when Dennis came down, and I thought that was him because I think he was training with Branch. And it's funny, man. I've gotten to talk and meet so many of you guys, like, you know, Dennis and all the bodybuilders. But I saw him down there, and I meant to go say hi to him. I was like, I think that's the guy that owns Armbrust Gym, and I love his gym so much, man. And it's just great atmosphere, good equipment. And I just love Colorado, so that's just that's a fun trip. I always like drive an hour or two out of the way just to go over there and train.
Dylan's a great guy, and I got a few stories I won't tell on the podcast.
All right. All right. Well, good deal. Well, awesome, Dennis. Before we wrap this up, man, you got anything else you want to kind of part with? I'll wrap this up here in a minute, man. But I want to give you the last word.
Well, that was a fantastic podcast episode. I think great guest. Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah. So I got a meet and greet tomorrow here in Germany in the gym. Looking forward to this, and then heading over to Russia for 3 weeks. We're doing a seminar tour, training tour. So yeah, and I'm very excited, and I'll be back home May 16th, and then can't wait to promote the Nutrition Wolf. Going probably to Arizona next, and looking forward to this.
Yep, we got a show in Dallas here. I think it's the USA Fit Games, and then we're planning on doing Olympia. So I hope I see all you guys. You know, I'm sure Ron will be out there. JP, you going to make it to Olympia this year?
Oh, definitely, yes.
Oh, awesome.
I would love to meet you guys. I haven't, obviously, Zach, I want to meet you. JP, I would love to meet you, dude.
I gotta work out in that backyard.
I
Let's
remember
do this.
watching all those Battle for the Olympias and seeing you. What a monster, man. Good old days.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for another episode of the Big Bad Bodybuilding podcast. Be sure to visit nutritionwolf.com where you can save 20% by using code BBB. So until next time, eat your protein and stay hungry like the wolf.